Picture the most powerful man in global sports, a guy controlling a literal empire worth billions of dollars. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to unravel the grand strategy of Gianni Infantino, a man who took over a completely shattered FIFA and somehow turned it into his own personal, untouchable kingdom. Let's dive right in. Okay, so cast your mind back to the eve of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The global media is watching, expecting a standard PR speech. Instead, FIFA's president delivers this nearly hour-long, totally baffling monologue. He told the world, "Today I feel gay, today I feel disabled, today I feel a migrant worker." He even went on to say he felt African, Arab, and claimed that being bullied for having red hair as a kid helped him understand systemic discrimination. The press, they absolutely tore him apart, labeling it a massive, unmitigated PR disaster. But this brings us to a huge, glaring question. Are these seemingly unhinged moments just accidental PR blunders? Or are they actually pieces of a deeply calculated master plan? How does a man who makes such massive public mistakes continue to consolidate absolute, unquestioned power over world football? To figure this out, we have to strip away all the noise and look at exactly how he operates step by step. Section 1. Rising from the ashes. Let's rewind the clock a bit to see how he seized control from absolute chaos. So the year is 2015, and FIFA is literally in pieces. A massive corruption scandal breaks. We're talking coordinated dawn raids, officials arrested for racketeering, bribery, money laundering, the whole shebang. Unsurprisingly, major corporate sponsors run for the hills, taking about $360 million with them. The organization is desperate for a fresh, clean face. Enter Gianni Infantino in 2016. He was this somewhat obscure, slightly bumbling technocrat. They bypassed the usual heavyweights, thinking he'd just quietly step in and clean up the mess. But man, the transformation since then is staggering. Early on, Infantino played the part perfectly. He was the humble reformer, he flew budget airlines, championed transparency, and enforced term limits. But once he had his feet firmly planted, the script flipped. He ousted independent ethics officials, started flying on private jets provided by host nations, and centralized all decision-making right at his desk. He became a king-like figure. So how did he pull that off so fast? That brings us to Section 2, buying the beautiful game. Let's check out the financial engine powering his untouchable status. Simply put, it's an absolute mountain of cash. The 2018 World Cup in Russia was the turning point. It generated a record-shattering $4.6 billion for FIFA. Infantino successfully lured the big sponsors back. But honestly, the real genius wasn't just making the money, it was what he decided to do with that windfall. He took that cash and strategically injected it right into the hands of smaller member nations. By handing out an extra $5 million to every single national football association, he totally transformed the global south. Suddenly, countries across Africa and Asia could afford brand new fields, equipment, and youth programs. And in return, he bought unbreakable, rock-solid voting loyalty. And he didn't stop there. He aggressively expanded tournaments to create a massive inventory of games to sell. The Women's World Cup bumped up to 32 teams, the men's expanded to 48, the Club World Cup exploded from just 7 clubs to 32. It's simple math, really. More matches equal more TV rights, more ticket sales, and vastly more money to pump back into the system. Now here's why this is a mastermind political move. FIFA operates on a one-member, one-vote system. On paper, it's purely democratic. A tiny island nation holds the exact same voting weight as football giants like Germany or Brazil. So by creating more tournament access and throwing more money at these smaller nations, Infantino directly guarantees their votes for his own re-election. They get to play and profit, he gets to stay in power. Moving on to Section 3, courting the powerful. Because keeping a money machine this massive running smoothly means making some highly controversial friends. Instead of dodging global controversy, Infantino actively steers right into it. Ahead of the 2018 tournament, he was sharing very friendly moments with Vladimir Putin, and he even remained publicly open to bringing Russia back into the global football landscape long after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. He deployed that exact same defensive strategy for Qatar in 2022. When Western critics and human rights organizations rightly pointed out the brutal realities faced by migrant workers building stadiums in extreme heat, Infantino went on the offensive. He aggressively pushed back, publicly framing the criticism from Europe and America as nothing but pure racism. You see, flattering polarizing world leaders isn't some accidental gaffe. By standing shoulder to shoulder with the leaders of Russia, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, he is sending a very clear message to his voting bloc. He's proving that he will back his host nations unconditionally, happily absorbing all the PR damage from the West so they don't have to. Which brings us to Section 4, the 2026 chaos. Right now, this entire strategy is colliding head-on with reality. The upcoming 2026 World Cup across the US, Mexico, and Canada is a totally different beast. The stakes are astronomically high. This tournament is projected to print an unprecedented $11 billion. Infantino absolutely needs this North American tournament to go off without a hitch, to keep his wealth distribution machine running at full tilt. So to protect that massive bag, Infantino went on a wild political offensive, aligning himself closely with Donald Trump. We're talking visiting the White House at least 5 times, attending Mar-a-Lago events, wearing a Trump hat at a Peace Board meeting, and get this, he even invented a brand new, exclusive award called the FIFA Peace Prize, specifically to give to Trump. But this cozy political alignment is causing some major real-world friction. When FIFA tries to coordinate mundane stuff like visa programs, the conversation suddenly gets derailed by domestic border politics and gang rhetoric. When they try to finalize host cities, they get hit with threats of games being moved over local political disputes. He essentially dragged the World Cup straight into the messy swamp of domestic political fights. Infantino is learning the hard way that his usual playbook, the one that worked so flawlessly with monarchies and autocracies, doesn't translate well here. It falls apart when a domestic politician realizes they can use the tournament and FIFA itself for their own daily leverage and media headlines. Section 5. The show goes on. Despite all this chaos, Infantino still holds the ultimate trump card. Because here's the harsh historical truth about global football. The second that first whistle blows, all the scandals just magically vanish. Fans completely forget about the boardroom corruption, the awkward Oval Office visits, and the diplomatic incidents. They are glued to the 90 minutes of magic happening on the pitch. Infantino knows this better than anyone on earth, and he banks on it. He's already securely locking in his future, pushing tournament expansion to the absolute physical limits. Think about it. 2030 will literally span 6 host countries across 3 different continents. 2031 brings that massive 48-team Women's World Cup. And for 2034, FIFA essentially bent its own bidding rules to ensure the tournament goes to its staunchest ally, Saudi Arabia. The final result of all this relentless engineering? Total, undeniable victory. By making his member federations as rich as humanly possible, he has completely eliminated any trace of competition. Gianni Infantino is running entirely unopposed for a 4th term as FIFA president. Let's be real, no one is going to dare run against the guy who keeps the treasury overflowing. As we wrap up this explainer, we're left staring at a massive contradiction. On one hand, yes, he rescued FIFA from total financial ruin and built an $11 billion juggernaut. But with this unprecedented concentration of power and this endless, relentless expansion, we really have to ask, is this chaotic money-printing machine actually sustainable? Or is the bubble about to burst, taking the soul of the beautiful game down with it? Thanks for watching, and keep your eyes on the pitch.